Well, thank you, Tammy Sue Bakker.
Yes. Hi there, everybody.
We had an amazing show yesterday with David Horowitz,
Yes.
who's the founder and president of the David Horowitz Freedom Center in Los Angeles. He is a New York Times best-selling author of the book that's now. You must read this book. If you haven't, get it for your friends. The Dark Agenda. It's a book about the war to destroy Christian America. People, wake up. This is not Sunday school picnic time anymore.
No.
We're in warfare.
That's right.
And my new book won't be out to the 4th of July, so just don't even think about ordering it. But I'm still standing, so I'm still here. But I'm going to be here until God calls me home.
Amen.
And when God calls me home, Lori's going to be here, and the girls are all going to be here, and Mondo's going to be here, right?
Yes, sir.
And Ricardo, my son, will be here. And did God make this family?
Yes.
Absolutely.
God led you into the inner city of
That's right.
and God gave us a family in one day.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are. How long have you been with me, baby?
23 years.
Can you imagine? Lori and I have been married
It'll be 23 years in September.
23
Just
years.
Right around the corner.
That's a long time.
Yes.
That's a lifetime, really, of most
Well, when we lived
most
together,
marriages.
we're together 24/7. So
Yeah, this
add
last
that all
year.
up together.
This year should account for 5 years.
True.
So we get bonus. We get bonus years,
You've been
okay?
quarantining with Mom for 23 years.
He really has.
But
It's
God put this thing together.
Yes,
Yes.
he did.
And what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. And the Lord is fighting for our family.
Yeah.
Yes. he
And
is.
that's the miracle. And the book won't be out that we wrote. We're still working on it. The book is
your new
written,
book.
actually.
You're going to
Yes.
get mad when you read it. You're going to get happy. You're going to cry. You're going to be joyful. You're going to want to come back and say, you know what? I want to fight for my family.
Yeah.
Well,
It's unbelievable.
I
This
didn't
book-
even know most of the story. We all knew pieces of it.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
then together, we came together around the table here at the house, and we wrote together.
That's
And
right.
Lori was talking about when she said, and the doctor said to me that your husband has a 50-50 chance to live.
Right.
It was like, I didn't know that because I was kind of out of it at that point.
That's right.
And you were making all the decisions.
Yes, had to. Yes.
Glad you made the right ones.
Me too.
Because I'm still
Aren't you happy?
standing.
We're all. And you know, also, Jim, with your new book, and this isn't about your book today, but you brought it up.
No.
I'm still standing. A Watchman's Story. God's faithfulness in dark times, past, present, and future. I want you to know, not only in this book is it a human interest story about everything that's gone on behind the scenes, as you've been watching the Jim Bakker Show throughout this past year, and you've seen everybody, rise up. But also, he ministers in this book, and he gives a lot of prophetic things to
That
come
have
in
never
this
been
book
given
that have
before.
never been given, and I think everyone's going to be really amazed and can't wait to read it. So we're just letting you a little preview of Jim's book
The
coming
book
up.
of the day is Dark Agenda.
But this is the book of the day.
So help me God, we got to get it out.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
We do.
I believe this still has super bestseller potential.
Absolutely.
And it's the one that ought to be out there. Every Christian should read this book.
Yes.
Every Christian.
Now look what
And
it
I want you to
says.
get 3 of them so you can give one to your pastor. He's got to read. We got to get our heads out of the sand
Yeah.
and start realizing what is the truth out there. The war is there to destroy. They have taken us on. They declared war on the church, on Christian America. They want to destroy the Bible even.
Yeah.
They want to make it illegal. They want to make it hate speech so you cannot even have the Bible. So I want to thank David Horowitz for writing this awesome book that is the book that must be read now. So I'm asking everyone this week that's watching the shows with David Horowitz to give the $75 gift.
Right.
And get 3 of these books
That's it.
to give to your best friends, people that you want to have really saved through all what's coming. Alan Dershowitz writes on the back of it. Tucker Carlson, Mike Huckabee, many of our friends are endorsing this book just like we are. It is so powerful from David Horowitz, probably the number one voice crying out
And
in honor and to save the church.
standing up for Christian America.
And we appreciate that so much.
Yes.
News breaking.
Thank you, David.
Quickly, just before David Horowitz comes back on the screen, Mondo, what is the news breaking?
I'm going to give you three amazing news that we have developing right now. And as you watch the programs the last few days, you've watched us talk about the book of Revelation, Matthew 24. This is according to the Sun. Hawaiian horror. Hawaii floods trigger a state of emergency and evacuation in Maui. Homes destroy. Tourists are told to stay inside. This is huge. This is a massive. Now, I want to remind you, 2020, you gave a prophetic word that flooding like never before, not like Noah's day, but major floodings will start taking place in the midst of other disasters. This is another one. Anytime that something historical takes place, you really have to look at it closely. This is according to the AccuWeather. Denver could get one of its biggest snowstorms since 1885. Forecasters continue keeping a close eye on the weather conditions that are expected to unleash a monster snowstorm across the Denver area in the coming days that could possibly, listen to this, become one of the biggest snowstorms in the Mile High City's history.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That is.
Remember what Rick Joyner taught us? The biggest, the
Extremes.
most, all the
Yes.
extremes.
This is extreme.
And we're seeing them now.
Absolutely.
There's more volcanoes going off than ever before at one time.
I'm going to give you one last one. This is amazing. This is San Cristobal. This is according to thewatchers.com. San Cristobal volcano erupts, heavy ash blankets the city of Chinandega, Nicaragua, known as the City of Oranges. It is considered the second region with the greatest economic strength after Managua, which is the capital of Nicaragua, recognized for the fertility of its soil and its high-level agricultural production. This is huge. This is one of the largest producers of agricultural in Central America, and is watching this heavy ash emission being unleashed in this town. This is what the journalist is saying. Carol is saying everything was great. The crops of rice, sesame seeds, vegetable gardens, fruit trees, and cattle pastures are covered with ash.
Oh, no.
This is huge because if you understand the production of the agriculture of Central America, America receives a lot of that produce.
The ash causes nuclear winter. Nuclear winter caused all the plant life to die. We're living in perilous times. God's going to shake things. You're going to hear from God. Can I tell you that?
Yes.
You're going to hear from God. So you better be listening and see what's coming this year. And we're thrilled to have David Horowitz here,
Yeah.
who's a great voice. He's crying out for the church. The war to destroy Christian America is on right now. You must read this book. Get it for your friends, because you've got to know the war we're fighting. And there is a great war in America. We have a civil war really going on. It's a war between good and evil. And it's truly happening. We have talked about the cancel culture movement has focused lately on banning certain, children's books, movies. However, some lawmakers are on the left are calling for sex education for kindergartners. How do they justify this, David? And welcome back to the show today.
Yes.
They're child abusers. They don't really have to justify it. Look, we're dealing with a barbarian threat. And this is as bad as anything that's ever happened to the United States. And it's centered in the Democrat Party. I talked yesterday about the Equality Act. One thing the Equality Act does is it, again, as I say, what the agenda of this anti-religious left, which is in control of our country now and our schools, is to replace God as a moral authority with the state, that is, with their politics. So under the Equality Act, if you have a 14-year-old daughter who's confused about her gender, and anybody who's had an adolescent knows confusion is there all the time, and these leftists become aware of that, they can order her to have, her breasts amputated. She thinks they can persuade her she's transgendered, amputate her breasts, alter her life forever, and the parents will have no authority under Nancy Pelosi's Equality Act. I wanted to make another point, and that is the Democrat Party's first desire is to shut up everybody who disagrees with it, to say that we need to be deprogrammed, we need to be put in asylums, eventually it'll be concentration camps. But the Democrat Party, and I've compared it to fascism and Nazism in Germany, which I think is a very legitimate comparison. They rule by edict. They don't even, bother to do these things by legislation, mostly. 35 executive orders. They've opened up our borders to the coronavirus, to sex traffickers, to the cartels. They have no idea what they're doing, actually. As anybody can see, it's complete chaos there, but that's typical of leftists. But their central or their main weapon and its target are white people, but they're also racist towards blacks. They think that black people are so inferior that they have to have special privileges. You want to talk about skin privilege? The only real, government authorized privilege on the basis of skin color is for people of color. If you're black, you go to the head of the line for a job, you go to the head of the line to get into Yale or Harvard or any school for that matter, any special program, head of the line for promotions. I say this as someone, I've been in the civil rights movement for blacks since 1948, and that's how old I am. This is perfectly horrifying. And you saw on yesterday's show, you had a clip with Eugene Robinson, who's a big journalist for the Washington Post and black, accusing white people of being the problem. And you hear it all the time now. And to me, it's exactly the way the Nazis treated the Jews. Only white people is a much bigger category. So the weapon is much, much more powerful. So under this lie that America is a racist country, America is the least racist country on planet Earth. Under that lie, they gave a license to Black Lives Matter Marxists to burn 220 American cities. They had 633 violent riots led by Black Lives Matter. There was no concerted attempt by the FBI or any government agency to investigate and identify these people the way there are for the 500 people or 300 people who were involved in the January 6th demonstration in the Capitol. To me, this is the greatest threat to America. The racism of the new, and what's the goal? The goal is to condemn the American founding as a racist, as a founding by racists, instead of as it was by anti-racists. The Declaration of Independence was a declaration of liberation for black slaves, and 350,000, mainly white, mainly Protestant Christians, gave their lives to free the slaves, where slavery still exists in Africa. Of course, they're not going to get any credit for that because whites are the demons. We're the domestic terrorists. We're the white nationalists and white supremacists. I mean, these are all lies. There are white supremacists in America, but it's a handful of people. There's probably not one person in this audience who could name a white supremacist. Maybe David Duke. And like, what kind of influence does David Duke have? He has none. He doesn't hold any office. When the Ku Klux Klan was at its height, it had 11 senators, 87 congressmen, and 4 million members. Today it has maybe 3,000 members and no congressmen and no figures of any significance. The only significant racists are anti-white racists, and they're all over the place. And they feel, very free about attacking white people, including, images of Jesus as a white person, or images of the Virgin Mary as a white person. It's a weapon. It has no reality. It's just a weapon used by fascists traditionally. And now in America we've never had a fascist movement this strong in America, one that's occupies the White House as we speak. This is a great concern to me, and I think it should be to everybody. And white people should not, there's a lot of white people who participate in this anti-white racism. They act as though they're guilty of what? Of what? The blacks in America are the richest, freest, most privileged, most opportunity-rich blacks anywhere on earth, including all of Black Africa and the Black West Indies, and everybody knows it. What do whites have to apologize for, you might ask? Anyway, it's a charged subject to bring into any conversation, but I think people have to be aware of this, that the American founding, I don't know if your listeners are aware of the 1619 Project, but the New York Times and the Pulitzer Foundation and the Smithsonian Institute have all conspired to create a myth that America was founded in 1619 when 20 Black Africans were shipped into the colony of Virginia as what are described as slaves, although they weren't slaves. Virginia wasn't America. This is supposed to be the beginning of American slavery, which is a monstrous lie. And it's supposed to characterize our whole country. Well, Barack Obama has said racism is in the DNA of America. No, it isn't. America has led the world in champion equality, freedom, and non-racist thinking. The reality is so different if you look at your family. In the caricatures of the Democrat Party, people like Jim and Lori Bakker have got to be racist, right? And they're white. I think it's 1 in 10 marriages in America today are interracial. And, as I've said before, it's not as though Christianity is a white man's creed. Or Judaism, for that matter. I mean, Jews are pretty dark-skinned in the Middle East. So we have, there was a play by Aristophanes. It takes place in cloud cuckoo land. I think that's what we inhabit in the United States today. But there's a very sinister content to it, and it is an attack. It's an attack on religious people. One, because they don't bow to the authority, they're law-abiding, but the state, the political state, is not their moral authority. Their moral authority is a higher power. a divinity, and that makes them a threat to fascists. My biggest complaint about conservatives generally, and also religious people, is they're too civilized and polite and decent. This is we're in a war, which looks like a street fight. You can't be nice. You should be civilized. You shouldn't be like the Democrats, but you should call them out for what they're doing and what they are. And when they do racist things, which is every day, they should be called out on it. Why are they indicting white people? What have white people done lately that makes them a problem?
I want to clarify something too. The question I asked about sex education for kindergartners. Why is the left so obsessed with abortion, and now they want to have sex education for kindergartners? They want to tell them that they don't have to be a boy. If they're born a boy, they can have surgery to become a girl, or the girl can become a boy. Yeah. And here's the thing. When you have your surgery, you can't bear children.
Right.
And they'll try to figure out somehow how to bear children, but it's not true. And so what they're trying to do, it seems like they're trying to keep the what God put on earth is a man and a woman having children, and they wanted to cause literally to the population to stop growing. It's abnormal. It's sick. So why in the world does the left want to kill babies? They want to have sex education to tell little children in kindergarten that you don't have to be a boy, you don't have to be a girl, you can decide what you want to be, and then you have surgery for it. And for a little kid to make that kind of decision is insane.
Absolutely.
E.K. Chesterton, as a famous Christian writer, said, if people don't believe in God, that doesn't mean they believe in nothing. It means they will believe in anything. And what these people think of themselves as, they think of themselves as gods. You remember the serpent in the garden told Adam and Eve to seduce them into wanting to do evil, to eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, said, if you eat of that tree, you shall be like God. And that's what they think of themselves. They're recreating the world. And they're so delusional, they don't even think in advance of how to put the world together again, how they're going to recreate it. But they are assaulting everything, family, gender. They think of it, they're revolutionaries. They're the most enlightened, well, they're godlike. And that's how they go about doing these things. It is incredible child abuse to teach kindergartners that they're gender fluid, that they can be anything they want. But they're deadly serious about this. I don't know if you watched the persecution of Jordan Peterson for refusing to use pronouns that the government tells him he has to use for people like she and z or whatever it is. These people, they have no moral constraints because they reject all morality. And that's why I say they have substituted politics, the state, and the power of the state for a divinity. It's the power that they control, which makes it even worse. Dostoevsky, who was a great Christian novelist, Russian novelist, wrote a book called Crime and Punishment. And it was about a young man who wanted to be a Superman. He wanted to be like God. And so he murders a woman for no reason, an old woman, for no reason, except to prove that he can do it and that he isn't bound by, morality. So Dostoevsky was very focused on this problem, that people who reject God do not then believe in nothing They believe in themselves as gods. That was the point of his book, Crime and Punishment. Great book, by the way.
Nobody's written a book like David Horowitz. And I want you to get the 3 of them for a gift of $75. Is that right, Nana?
That's right. Yes,
right.
$75 donation.
Okay. So for $75, you get 3 of the hardback Dark Agenda. This is the book of the hour right now, The War to Destroy Christian America.
That's it right there.
Wow.
And really, I don't know, I don't know if there's any words that we can say thank you so much to you, David, for standing up for believers, for Christians. I don't think very many people would be courageous enough to do that. And I just want to thank you personally and for our viewing audience that you are standing for Christian America, and you are literally exposing it all. So you can receive 1 book for $30 donation to the ministry, which includes shipping and handling, or better yet, 3 books, which you can pass out to people. As a matter of fact, I just took a picture of this book and I'm sending it to my best friend, and she can't wait to have it. But you receive all 3 books for a donation to the ministry, all 3 of them, donation to the ministry of $75, and that includes shipping and handling.
Every family member should have it.
Yes.
Absolutely. I want to say this because Mr. David mentioned it, but the church is this part of the church that is contributing to the subtitle to destroy Christian America. There's a new gospel, is what they're calling it. The new gospel called social justice gospel, the woke movement gospel, the progressiveness of the church is participating in destroying the Christian foundation. The values that you grew up with, Mom and Dad, are no longer, they're calling it, they're antiquated, they don't fit for the times. Therefore, move over, let the new progressive social gospel come in. The woke movement is part of destroying the very foundation that the forefathers built this country upon. And I want to tell you something. This is a quote from a pastor. America may be a Christian nation in language, but is far from it in practice. And I want to tell you something. We're seeing the Civil War. I can't remember who said this the other day, but there's a civil war taking place inside of the church, and we're watching it being destroyed from within, because us here talking about this are the problem for the new progressive gospel. And years ago, you said there's a new gospel being preached. It was identified as the prosperity gospel. Well, now the social gospel, the woke movement, all of that is part of this agenda to destroy Christian America. And the Bible says that God will begin from the house, to clean the house. That means to start from the church. And the church right now is being awakened to either understand what the role of Christianity is. There's pastors right now that are declaring war on the Bible, calling that the Bible is not the full gospel of Jesus Christ.
But it's the moral basis for the world, for Christianity, and from God. And without it, we're in trouble. Can you imagine the left is just creating another race of people, another way to have marriage to 2 men, 2 women, and to take the children and encourage children that they can have a knife cut into their bodies, go into an operating room, and go in as a boy and come out supposedly as a girl, which is impossible, but they cut them up. They cut off the male organs, they cut off the lady's breasts, they turn a girl into a boy and a boy into a girl, just because of the perversion. This is what the Bible calls it. It's a perverted situation, and that's the reason. And it's so extreme that the church can't endure it. The church believes in family, believes in male and female, believes that God created the family and to promote children bearing, through a mom and a dad. And Mondo got married and ended up with 2 babies.
Yes.
All at
Twins,
once.
A boy and a girl.
And that's a blessing.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you something. From that beginning, you understand she's a total girl and he's a total boy.
Yeah.
You give them room to play with everything in life, but it's amazing that their identities is defined by what God has created them to be.
Yeah. Are liberals and their radical allies still looking forward to a new millennium in which Christianity is banished? David?
Yes, this social justice gospel is the Antichrist. Look, it's a very old heresy in the Christian church. And I think I may have discussed this in a previous show, but for people who haven't heard it, there was a monk named Pelagius who believed that sin was against human nature, that if people were true to their nature, they wouldn't sin it, or they have no temptation to sin. And so he believed that if people would just follow, their moral beliefs, they could create the kingdom of heaven on earth without God. And this is known as the Pelagian heresy, and it was condemned by St. Augustine, who opposed to this the doctrine of original sin, that we all share in the sins of Adam and Eve. And what he meant by that, and that sin is a part of human nature, and that Christian doctrine and Jewish doctrine as well teaches that the source of human suffering and misery and evil is not patriarchies, it's not races, it's not corporations, it's not society, it's us. The biggest problem is human beings. That's why we were expelled from Eden, from the Garden of Eden. That was a better paradise than is promised by the Green New Deal. No pain in childbirth, live forever, fruit falls from the trees. We were expelled from that paradise because we wanted to do evil. And every honest person looking at themselves knows that they have to fight these temptations. It may be as semi-innocuous as, small thefts, cheating, lying. I don't have to, I assume everybody who is in your ministry has attended sermons where they've been told this. But that's the heart of Christianity, and the necessity of a savior, of a divinity, is because human beings are incapable of saving themselves. Obviously, when you elect people to government, the social redeemers, the progressives, who are you electing? The same people who caused the problems in the first place, but now you're giving them enormous power over their fellow human beings. And again, that's why progressives, social justice warriors like Joseph Stalin and Lenin and Mao killed so many people, over 100 million people in peacetime. This isn't even in wartime, because they, tried to force them into their programs of social justice, and people resisted, and so they were put in concentration camps and executed.
Shocking facts.
Jim was just saying, as you were talking, how could this be? How could this happen? But actually, these types of things have to happen
Millions
before the
killed,
return of the Lord.
Millions killed, and they got by with it.
Oh, it is. It's horrific.
I want to roll a piece of news and then ask David Horowitz to comment on it, please. Let's roll that news.
When you look at the foundation of our democracy, it is based on this ideal, this principle of freedom of speech, freedom for every single one of us to be able to share our ideas. Cancel culture is the opposite of this. It is exactly the opposite of this foundational principle of our democracy. It means that in a cancel culture, you have some people who believe that they are special, that they are superior, that they have the power to be able to shut down those who have ideas and views that are different, who may follow a path that they deem to be the wrong path, and will therefore say, nope, we're going to place obstacles in front of you, we're going to silence certain voices so that only those who agree with us in the path that we deem to be right is the one that is before you to choose. And the issue with this, there's a few issues, but the main issue with this is when you look at our rights and freedoms, and our ability to debate them and respectfully come out the other end agreeing or disagreeing, as you and I have over the years, it's based on the fact that we are all children of God. Do you see the final expression of cancel culture in Islamist terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, who basically go and behead those who are they deem to be infidels or heretics in order to silence them, in order to protect others from being misled by those heretical ideas in the eyes of an ISIS or Al-Qaeda. And so when we look at cancel culture here at home, we see those efforts to cancel or silence those that they don't want the people to hear from, those who may offer a different idea than the one that those in power want people to see or to hear or to be exposed to. And so this is, when we look at the foundations of our democracy, this is the danger of where this path leads us unless we as individuals stand up against it. And that's the final point I want to make on this is, what can we do? Because I get asked this a lot. What can we do to stand up against this cancel culture, this fear-mongering, this bullying, that if you don't adhere to this path that those in power say is the right one, then you are at risk of losing your job. You are at risk of losing family or friends, or being unpopular, or losing likes on social media. This requires us to ask the question of ourselves, who are we trying to please? And this is something for me at a really young age. I recognize that life is short. Death can come at any time, and I was happiest and am happiest when trying to live my life to be pleasing to God, to my best friend.
Wow.
Wow. So, David, what do you think of that? Would you comment on that?
Well, I thought what Tulsi Gabbard said was profound and true. And the only thing I would add to it is that cancel culture, that term is too nice. This is fascism. This is what it's about. And when you describe the death threats against you, the problem is that human beings, their natural impulse is to shut up and silence and eliminate people who disagree with them. I'm sure that everybody watching this show at one time or another has wanted to throw their shoe at the television because of something somebody said they disagreed with. And that's the moral problem. That's why religion is necessary. That's why obedience to a higher power, to a morality that restrains you from your human impulses, the bad ones, is necessary. It's as old as mankind. What's the story of the Tower of Babel about? It's about people who think that they can build a ladder to paradise. That it's basically human beings think they can create a paradise in their own image. But their own image is filled with all the sinfulness and horrifying impulses that lead to these mass atrocities. And I consider it an atrocity that Jim Bakker has had 100 death threats a year. That's just terrible. But the only solution to that is the one that was created by Protestant Christians when they created this country. And you'll notice that the First Amendment, not the second, not the third, not the 10th, but the first is religious freedom. Freedom of religious conscience is the basis of all freedoms, and it's also the basis of all tolerance and our ability to live in peace with each other when we, disagree, often have violent thoughts in our disagreements. But if you submit to the discipline, of the Gospels, of the Old Testament, the morality of it, and the constitutional framework of America, when you submit to that, we can have the closest thing to a human paradise, a country that's tolerant, inclusive, and egalitarian. And there's no country that's more tolerant, inclusive, and egalitarian than America. And everybody who hates America, including all those social justice gospel people, is an enemy not only of America, but an enemy of human freedom and equality and true justice.
Well, please order the book Dark Agenda before the show's over today.
Yes.
We're asking people to give $75 this week to help us stay on the air and get 3 of these books to give to your friends and to your pastor, perhaps. And if you don't have one, then you keep one to yourself. But get the 3. If you have the book, get 3 more and share them with others. Let's be missionaries today.
Yeah.
People have got to wake up.
Yes.
You've got to stand up.
The church has to wake up.
That's right.
I mean, literally, wake up.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. Wake up. For
Yes.
$75?
Yeah,
Yes.
$75 donation to the ministry, and that includes shipping and handling, and that's 3 of the Dark Agenda books. The War to Destroy Christian America. And Dad, if you don't, I have to share this scripture because as we are sitting here on the show today, open your Bibles with me and go to 2 Timothy 4, verse 2, and let's look at what the word has to say about what we are facing right now. The word says, preach the word, be ready in season and out of season, reprove, rebuke, and exhort with all patience and teachings. For the time will come when people will not endure sound doctrine, but they will gather to themselves teachers in accordance with their own desires, having itching ears, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and turn to myths. But be self-controlled in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, and prove your ministry.
Yes, amen.
This word is for right now, for you today.
So order Dark Agenda. David, you say in Dark Agenda, the leftists identify their opponents as on the wrong side of history and therefore against justice. Can you explain what I'm saying?
They always say they're on the right side of history, as though history is moving in a good direction. The worst century on record for human atrocities was the 20th century. So you can't really argue that history is moving in a progressive, what they think of as in a progressive direction, which is what they want to see. There's a cautionary chapter in my book, Dark Agenda. It's both about the great Christian contribution to America and the war against it, against Christianity. But it's also about the nature of the left, what I would call the diabolical nature of the left. And there's a cautionary chapter about the AIDS epidemic. And when AIDS came along, the left, these revolutionaries of the left came out and they attacked the public health system. There was no contact tracing, for example, which is what you have to have in an epidemic so you know who is in the path of AIDS was a virus, of course. There was no testing. and none of, in fact, of the public health methods were employed because the political left didn't believe in science. They denounced science as homophobic. There were these sexual bathhouses, which were breeding grounds for the epidemic. And they wouldn't close them because they said it was homophobic. And guess which scientists perverted themselves and betrayed their profession? Well, one of them was Dr. Anthony Fauci. Another was Dr. Birx. And a third was that Redfield. The three epidemiologists who were advising us on the COVID-19 epidemic. They just surrendered to the political left. And 500,000 young gay males died unnecessarily because the public health methods weren't put in place. I actually interviewed the head of the Center for Disease Control in charge of fighting the AIDS epidemic. And I said to him, when are you going to test people? Well, first I asked him, how do you fight an epidemic? And he said, well, what you do, if it's easily identifiable, like smallpox, which appears immediately and you have pox on your face, then you just separate the carriers from the people in their path. And if it's not evident, which was AIDS, it could be latent for 10 years. You could infect people and not even know you had it, which is similar to COVID. If it's like that, then you have to test people so you know who's the carriers are, and you have to trace their contacts to warn them that they might be in danger and they might be endangering others. So I said to him, well, when do you think there'll be testing? He said, when enough people are dead. And that proved to be wildly optimistic, because 500,000 people died for no particular reason except for these political leftists. It's not that different from the transgendered, geniuses who want to cripple, actually, young people's lives and distort them because they think they know better than everybody else. People are very dangerous when they're unleashed. I think every religion actually recognizes that. That's the main problem. People out of control.
Wow.
What can we do to stand against the war on Christianity? We're getting ready to have to leave the air. We only have about a couple minutes left.
The book says, standing still. You got to stand up and fight back. And like I say, don't be so polite to just call it cancel culture when it's fascism. People understand that fascism is dangerous. Cancel culture, it's hard to understand what it is. It sounds, it's sanitized. Fight verbally. When people are attacking white people generally, that's racism. All white people don't think alike. All white people don't act alike. And yet you see it on your tube every day. You have to have courage like you had, Jim. I mean, God forbid that there are too many people who have to suffer what you suffered. Facing your own destruction and standing up. But at every level, people, find out what your kids are being taught in school and protest if they're being taught what I know they're being taught. Can you believe it? In California, I think this guy is a dean. He's got a curriculum. He's got a book out. He's a dean of education at Arizona State, but he's designed his curriculum for California schools, 6 million children, that they learn to chant the chant of the Aztec god of human sacrifice. You can't teach Christianity in the schools, but you can teach kids to worship the God of human sacrifice in California schools, or will shortly. This is what we're up against. And, you've got to fight it. You've got to say, this is insanity. This is evil. This is just child abuse, epic child abuse is what's going on. So if enough people start talking that way and start rejecting the left's evil message, we'll be okay.
You said that America better wake up and fight for their country, or there will soon be nothing left to defend.
Correct.
What are some of the more steps we should be taking? We just got a minute left, so I just wanted to close with this.
Is involved, the schools are the root cause of this rot. I've written 5 books on universities over the last, whatever it was, 20, 25 years. Unfortunately, nobody listened to me. But I said that our schools are in the control of communists, Marxists that hate America. And they've driven out, which they did, they purged conservatives from their faculties. Conservative on a university faculty is as rare as a unicorn. Now's the time to fight in the schools, in particular, the K-12 schools. It's so offensive what they're doing to small children who are innocent and who don't have the knowledge to fight back. So parents really need to step in, find out what your kids are being taught in school, and organize to protest or complain about it and do something about it. That to me is the ground zero of this battle.
Oh, our time's
This is
gone. I wish we had
powerful.
more time. We hope to have you back, and with your new book coming out soon, we want you back right away.
Yes.
And I want everyone to order Dark Agenda, and we want you to get this book. It's the #1 bestseller, I think, one of the bestsellers in America already.
Incredible.
And Dark Agenda, The War to Destroy Christian America. It's for $75. You get 3 of the books to share with your friends and family.
Yes. Yeah, there's chapters in here such as first chapter, Religion Must Die. Another chapter, Roots of the War, Radical Faith, Christian America, Prayer in the Schools, The War Begins, Moving the World, Battle Lines, A Radical Epidemic, Obama's Ark, Religious Liberty and Civil War. These are the chapters that you will read about in this hardback book. You can receive one for $30, which includes shipping and handling. Or if I was you, I would go with the 3 books. I call it the Friends and Family offer, as you know. And that is 3 for $75, and give them out to people you know, you love. Give them to your kid. You just said it just now. I mean, I'm thinking, of my kids, and I'm thinking, here I am, a baby boomer, and I have my kids who have our grandchildren in schools. And so I want them to be educated and aware. And all you grandmas and grandpas out there, this would be an amazing book to give to your children so that they can stand up in these school systems.
I want to thank my 2 friends that I really love and trust who endorsed this book.
Yes.
Alan Dershowitz and Mike Huckabee.
That's right.
Both of them I so highly respect. And so if you don't take my word, at least take Alan Dershowitz and Mike Huckabee, 2 brilliant people who endorsed this book as well. The War to Destroy Christian America. People, this is now. It's happening now. That's the thing, people. This year is going to be probably the most devastating year we've ever had in history. You wait and see.
Wow.
You wait and see. So do it right now. Marcella, am I through?
Yes, we're all good. Don't forget to check out jimbakkershow.com, where we have so many offers for the month of March
That's
of the
right.
generators, the food, the 30-year shelf life food. So make sure you go to jimbakkershow.com, or you can call us at 1-888-988-1588.
These are the last few days that you can get financing
Yes.
for the generators.
That's right. Yes.
And so that's available now. The price
Yes.
will go up on the generators next month.
Yes, that's right.
And so we don't know what to do except pass it on to you and tell you what's going on. but we're doing all we can to make it work so you're prepared.
Yes.
And the water bottles and the food and all,
Right.
these are on our website at thejimbakkershow.com.
That's right.
Right, Lori?
So that's right. That's right. Go to jimbakkershow.com or call us at 1-888-988-1588. You can write us at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615.
Oh, thank you, Lori. And it's time's gone. We're the day's gone, and
David Horowitz makes it so easy to
I want you to pray for David. He had surgery there. You can see his
Yes.
bandage on there. Pray
Yes.
that he'll heal up fast.
Pray
and
for quick healing.
He is a treasure
Yes.
for America.
Amen.
And we must
True
pray for him and pray that God will preserve him
Yes.
and help him to write many more books.
Yes.
He's got a new one coming out soon. So
Can't wait.
I want him back for that too.
Yes.
So thank you, David, for being with us today.
Yes.
We do have to go. Call us. Our toll-free number is what, Lori?
1-888-988-1588.
Toll-free, and order your product. They'll keep us on there, and
That's right.
we take credit cards now.
Yes, we do. Yes.
We
we're
are
in the
able to do it.
process.
It's taken all these months for
Yeah,
you to
many
get
months,
a
yes.
company going back again and getting people that will work with us. And we
That's right. And now they can give their monthly giving as well. Many of you were giving the monthly donations
That's
for the Hall of the
right.
Prophets or the Voice of the Prophet. So now you can do that by calling us and doing that with your credit cards.
Well, I believe the title of my new book, we finally got the title right. I'm still
Amen.
standing, and I want you to stand with us, because through it all, it's a miracle.
It is.
We now
It
have the
really
credit
is.
cards back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Through a different company, but we got a better deal going,
That's right.
I think. And we're just believing God to restore all things.
Amen.
Yes.
And I'm asking you to stand with me. Amen. We do have to go. God loves you. He really does. Bye-bye for today.
Bye-bye. We love you.